Hey everyone, Carlton here. Welcome back. In this case, we have a young mother, 32 years old, and she went through a terrible ordeal because her ex-boyfriend decided that if he couldn't have her, nobody could. Stay till the end because you're going to be shocked by the details of this case. Let's get started. This case is about a lady named Kiana Pliska. And she was 32 years old, two kids, and just trying to survive in this world. And unfortunately, her ex-boyfriend decided that he was going to take her out, and that's exactly what he did. So before we get started, I want to read a statement that the victim's sister said. Her sister said that Kiana was selfless and took care of everyone. She was the glue of the family. Anyone who knew her loved her. She had a laugh that was so contagious and the most beautiful spirit. Taking her away from us too soon, she will forever be missed by so many. Let me just get started and tell you how this really began. A couple years before this incident, Kiana was a single mother with one child. And she met Randall and they got into a relationship. And Randall and her actually lived together in an apartment in Wisconsin. In late 2025, Kiana decided to end her relationship with Randall. And you wouldn't believe that on January 1st of 2026, that's when the documented events of stalking and harassment begin. And right now I want to go down the chronological events of exactly what happened. On January 1st, 2026, Kiana found an AirTag tracker on her car. And she knew that Randall is the one that put it there. On January 29th, Randall sent flowers to Kiana where she worked. And that was not something Kiana was expecting because she already told him the relationship was over and she was done. And she already found the tracker that he placed on her car. On February 2nd, Randall was caught sneaking around Kiana's home, and he was caught on camera. On February 15th, Randall showed up at Kiana's home again. This time, he kicked in the door, choked her in front of her mother, her niece, and her kids. They had to call 911. Police came and arrested him. On April 12th, Randall called Kiana and told her that he shot himself in the hand and it was all her fault. On April 14th, Kiana had enough. She went to file a restraining order against Randall. They were scheduled to go to court on April 27th. So on April 27th, Randall showed up in court and Kiana did not. And Randall's sister said that he convinced Kiana not to come to court because he knew that if she didn't come to court, the case was going to be thrown out. And that's exactly what happened. So while Randall was in court, the judge asked him if he owned any weapons. And Randall said yes, he had 4 guns. The case was dismissed because Kiana did not show up. But the court did nothing about Randall's guns. So he was allowed to keep his weapons and continue to terrorize Kiana. Kiana was killed on July 16th, 2026. But on July 15th, she called the cops and she told them that her hairstylist got a message and it was from Randall. And he was pretending that he was the detective looking for Kiana. The very next day, Kiana went to court to file a restraining order against Randall. Later that day, Kiana had to meet Randall to drop off her son because they shared custody. So he insisted that they meet at a place where they used to live. So when she got there, she got into an argument with Randall because he was upset that she filed a restraining order against him. He then pulled out a Glock 23 and tried to shoot her in the face. She ran out of the car and tried to escape, and then he shot her in the back. As Kiana laid on the ground, begging for her life and screaming for help, A lady heard the commotion and asked Randall to stop. Instead, he walked over to Kiana and shot her multiple times at close range while she laid on the ground. She was shot 7 times in the head, the face, in the torso, the chest. It was basically an execution. He then took his son and fled the scene. While he was driving away in his car, he texted his sister and he told her that he lost it and he killed Kiana. So the sister immediately called him. He told her that he was contemplating killing himself and his son. His sister convinced him not to kill the boy. And so she convinced him to drop off the child at a Walgreens where she would take the child. And she then called the cops and he dropped the child off and the cops arrested him. And then he made a full confession. I want to read to you Randall's reenactment of what happened on that day. This is exactly what he told the cops. He said, "She saw me pull out my gun. She got out of the car and started to run. So I shot her. She started screaming. So I knew she was still alive. So I just kept shooting her." He continued to go on to say, "I'm about to do it to myself and my son." So let's break down this case and see what went wrong. Randall and Kiana was in a relationship and she decided to leave him. And we could only surmise what she was going through in that relationship. Imagine what he was doing while they were together. The intimidation, the abuse, and she had enough and she wanted out. But ladies, when it's time to get out, you got to make a clean getaway. Because the first thing is that he placed an AirTag tracker on her car. That was the first sign that she needed to run. She did not take that seriously. And then that was on January 1st. On February 2nd, he was caught on camera sneaking around her house. But I think even long before that, when she was in a relationship with him, he had guns. This guy owned 4 guns. And ladies, let me tell you something. Do not be in a relationship with anyone who owns a gun. Because at any moment, he has easy access to a weapon that can take your life away in a second. So it's a bad sign when somebody is having weapons, and especially multiple weapons. Like, why would somebody need 4 guns? So on February 15th, he showed up at her house, kicked in the door off the hinges, and assaulted her. And they had to call the cops. And listen, I know that it's not easy to disappear, because the only way for a woman to get away from an abusive relationship is to disappear, okay? And Kiana did not have the means to disappear. She didn't have the money. She had to go to work. She had to feed her kids and all of that. But I think a lot of people, they don't believe it's going to happen to them. And, women being killed by their partners is an epidemic in this country. This is not something that just happens once in a blue. This happens a lot, okay? And the signs, there's always signs. The fact that he was stalking her, he was threatening her, he owned guns. Wow. There were a ton of red flags that screamed Kiana needed to protect herself. Kiana had family and a lot of friends, right? And let me give you this analogy. It takes a village to raise a child, right? But it also takes a village to protect a woman from domestic violence. Because a lot of women, they don't have the economic standing to get away from a man. Because if you're going to disappear, you're going to have to find somewhere else to live. You're going to have to change your job. You're going to have to change where your kid go to school. You're going to have to change your hairdresser. Because this guy knew her hairdresser. And he called her hairdresser, pretending to be a detective, so that he could find out where she was. So that means he was probably hanging around the hairdresser's residence in order to see if she comes there. And let me tell you what he did also. He was asking people, paying people to find out if Kiana had a new boyfriend. So this guy just lost his mind once this relationship broke down. And let me tell you something. Women are at risk a lot more than men when it comes to domestic violence. And I'm going to tell you why that is. When we look at society and the Bible, church and marriage, everyone says, follow the man. The man is in control. Listen to your husband. It's like the man owns the woman. And this is preached to women and to men. The man is the head. Let the man lead you. And a lot of women say they want a man to lead them. But just imagine a man like Randall leading you. A man that has no level of maturity. A man that resorts to stalking and violence. A man who wanted to kill his own son. Is that the kind of man do you want leading you? And men get this mentality, as I tell you, from society, norms, and religion. It's called gender roles. The man is supposed to provide, and the man is supposed to lead, and the woman is supposed to be submissive. And a lot of women buy into that nonsense. What is wrong with you that you can't lead? In my opinion, nobody should be leading anyone by default, because we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And when you're in a relationship, it should be a partnership. It shouldn't be like the man run things, like the man own you. I mean, you're not cattle, okay? You're a human being, and you deserve to be treated equally as a man. Don't let anybody tell you that a man is better than you, and a man should do this and a man should do that. What a man should be doing is respecting you and treating you like an equal partner. And if he's not doing that, then you shouldn't be with him. That's why it's important to do a background check. And even if you're not going to do a background check, like pay somebody to do that. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can get one for less than $100. But even if you're not going to do that, you need to go on social media and check these men's profiles. Look at the posts that they're liking. Look at the things that they're saying. And if there's no red flags on social media, you need to date with caution. Don't jump into bed with somebody you just met. Because as soon as a man has sex with you, he thinks he owns you. Like you can't leave unless he says you can leave. He could be cheating on you. He could be beating up on you, abusing you. He could do whatever he wants. And if you decide you want to leave, which is what happened in this case, Kiana wanted to leave. And he was like, you're not leaving. And there was nobody to help Kiana. Not her family, no friends. She was alone. She was scared. On April 14th, Randall called Kiana, told her he shot himself in the hand, and it's her fault. Like, how the hell is that her fault? So this guy was losing his mind, and Kiana decided it's time for a restraining order. But let me tell you something. A restraining order could do more harm than good. Because when you file a restraining order, that person loses control, meaning they can't get close to you legally. So now they're going to escalate. Now they'll be like, okay, let me take it to another level. And that another level usually is murder. That happens to a lot of women. Like, if you're going to file a restraining order, you need to file it and disappear. But a lot of women do the opposite. They file the restraining order and then they stick around thinking the restraining order is going to keep that person away. But if somebody's already threatening your life, they don't care. They don't care if If you live, if you die, they don't care if they live or if they die. They don't care if they go to jail. And if somebody don't care about their own life, they certainly don't care about yours. And that restraining order is just a piece of paper, just a formality. If somebody really wants to kill you, there's no restraining order that can stop them. And that's why you have to physically move, hide. And if your family and friends can't help you, you have to go into a shelter. Because I know financially it's tough to uproot your life. But if you want to see your kids, if you want to live and see your kids grow up, you have to do something. A restraining order is not going to do nothing but make it worse. I'm not saying don't file a restraining order. I'm just saying if you're going to file it, you need to run. Don't file it and stick around. Because Kiana ignored a lot of red flags. Even when she decided to take action, that restraining order, only made it worse. What should have happened is her family and friends pool their resources and hide her, move her to another state so she could have gotten away from this monster. Or she could have gone to a shelter. But that guy, he was determined to get to her. And he used their child in order to get her in a place where he could physically harm her. He wanted to make sure that there was nobody around where he had ample time to kill her. If you have joint custody, but that person is threatening your life, you have to go to court to get full custody. Because that person is going to use that child as a way to get to you. And that's exactly what Randall did. He didn't care about his own son. 6-year-old child, he cared nothing about him. Because while he drove away from killing Kiana, he's contemplating killing the boy. Now his plan all along was to kill himself, Kiana, and his child. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go out in a blaze. But he didn't have the courage to kill himself. And his sister convinced him not to kill his own son. So it's tragic, very tragic. If you know someone who's going through something similar, try to help. When I say try to help, try to tell them, listen, go to a shelter. And if they're not going to a shelter, if you guys could pool your resources, like if everybody donate money. People put up GoFundMe after the person died. Like, what about a GoFundMe before the person is murdered? What about that? So that person could be alive and be saved. And I see people get murdered and then people are throwing a big funeral with balloons and doing all kind of extra stuff. That money should have been used to save that person. Not as a send away, after they die, after they get murdered. But there's too many men out here that's taking the lives of women when they should be protecting them. If we want to talk about gender roles, the gender role should be the first rule. Men should protect women. That should be the first rule in these so-called gender roles. Not men leading the women or listen to your man or all sort of nonsense that they put into these men's head like you owned these women. You don't own anybody. These men are not men. They're not mature. Like if a woman doesn't want to be with you anymore and you know exactly why she doesn't want to be with you, and it doesn't really matter why she doesn't want to be with you. Let's keep it real. Sometimes and you just want to move on. And you should have the right to move on. It doesn't matter if you're with the person for a week, a day, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years. It really doesn't matter. Everyone should have a right to be happy. And if you're in a relationship and it's not fulfilling and it doesn't make you happy, you should have the right to leave without your life being taken. So on July 15th, when Kiana went to file the restraining order, she told them that she was scared. He was stalking her. He was threatening her. And she doesn't know what he's going to do next. So he convinced her not to go to court for the first restraining order. And he probably told her that he's going to stop stalking her and he's going to leave her alone. And soon as he got out of court and he got away from that charge, he continued to stalk her, and it got worse. So ladies, a man who is abusing you and stalking you, don't listen to that person. That person is not going to tell you the truth. That person is not going to stop until you're dead. That person is your mortal enemy. You should never want to be alone with that person, because Randall wanted to isolate Kiana in a place where he knew he can kill her, right? And I did another case on this channel where a lady went to court. She went to court because of domestic violence. And while she was outside the court, she got killed by the same man who was abusing her. He killed her right in front of the courtroom. So the only way is to disappear from these guys. Because if he can kill her right in front of a courtroom where there's police officers all over, he didn't care. He was determined. Just like our Randall, he was determined to kill Kiana, and that's what he did. Ladies, protect yourself. If you live in a state where it's legal to carry a weapon, absolutely carry a weapon. If it's not legal, whatever you can carry with you. Because these men, they don't care. And this guy, Randall, he had 4 guns. And the cops did nothing. Nothing. The only time the cops show up to help you, well, I don't know if that's help, but the only time they show up is when you're dead. When you're dead, everybody shows up and, you're on the news and all that sort of stuff. The detectives come and that's when they start working, when you're already gone. When you're alive and you're begging them for help, they do nothing. Oh, it's paperwork. You got to sign this and sign that. And let me tell you something. That paperwork will not save your life. Because Kiana filed that restraining order on July 16th in the morning. And the restraining order was approved on July 17th. Kiana was already dead. So a restraining order is not going to help you when you're alive, and it's certainly not going to help you when you're dead. So Kiana was a young woman, 32 years old, 2 kids, and her life was taken away by Randall. And this guy was 33 years old. This guy could have lived a great life. He could have moved on. He could have found another woman. And, many of us, like I've been in multiple relationships and I moved on. I'm not going to go around killing anybody because a relationship is over. But this guy destroyed Kiana's life, destroyed her kid's life, and then destroyed his own life. Just because Kiana wanted to get out of that relationship. That's it for this case. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.